Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher, and appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and spending some of your day with me. Guys, today we're going to be talking about two of the most famous crankbaits that all bass fishermen probably know about. If you don't know about it, you probably should, because they're incredible bass catchers. And I want to talk about which is better, the old school wiggle wart like this or the more newer version, the rock crawler. Both of these are sort of the same type of crankbait as far as they do the same thing. But they're sort of a divided camp. Some people are diehard wiggle wart fans. Some people are the newer rock crawler fans. I've fished them both. I'm going to give you guys my opinion on which ones to choose, because I sort of think that once you start getting into November, that's like the beginning of the wiggle wart rock crawler season. It sort of peaks like in February, March, but you can catch a lot of fish on them this time of year as well. So we're going to go over that in today's episode. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple quick things. Just a quick invitation. I'd like to invite everybody to please consider hitting that subscribe button here to The Fishing Teacher. We're really working hard. The goal is to try to get to 50,000 subscribers here. We're about halfway there. Free and easy to do so, man. It's a good way to help the channel out. And also, guys, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. You can shoot me a private message for details. I do most of my lessons here on Table Rock Lake and Stockton Lake in Missouri. Cover any technique you want to learn more about, so you can send me a message on that. Appreciate it. Okay, here they are, guys. Rock crawler wiggle wart. I think personally, it's like the wiggle wart is an all-time favorite of everybody. It's one of those lures that have stood the test of time. It's a famous, probably the most famous pre-spawn lure, wiggle warting in the early spring. Everybody that has bass fished very long has heard about it. And then what happened is I guess it's been about 10 years ago, Mike McClellan, along with Spro Lures, invented the rock crawler. This is actually a headhunter, but it looks identical to a rock crawler. You can see the difference between the two. There are some similarities and some differences. The action on the things are similar, but not exactly the same. But I want to talk about specifically, first of all, the difference between the wiggle wart and the rock crawler, and then talk about the applications they work in. Now, a lot of you guys that have bass fish have heard about the old wiggle warts versus the new wiggle warts. The old wiggle warts, guys, they're like, you can't beat them. It's like something has changed, the way they've made the bait, the way they've molded it, but it has reduced the wobble of the old wiggle wart. The old wiggle warts had a really wide, like just almost like that, a super wide side-to-side motion, super attractive to the fish. And the new ones are more just like that. They're not that wide swath. They're sort of like that. And people have been screaming at the top of the lungs to get the old school wide wiggle wart action, but nobody can figure it out. Nobody. It's like, I don't understand why it is so difficult to get a wide swinging wiggle wart made, but nobody can do it. So in my opinion, the newer wiggle warts will catch fish, but they don't catch near the fish as the old ones do. But they don't make the old ones anymore, so they're very difficult to find. So in response to that, Spro came out with the rock crawler. Now, the rock crawler is very similar. It does not have that wide swing. It's got more of a medium like that. It's more of a medium swing, but it catches fish. There's something about it. And the main difference between a wiggle wart and a rock crawler, you can notice on the lip here, is the rock crawler will run deeper than a wiggle wart. And that's why a lot of people like it, because they can hit those depths of like 8 to 10 foot a lot easier fishing the traditional 10 and 12 pound test line versus a wiggle wart, and they're accessible. There's a lot of different colors in them. You can buy them about any tackle store. Also, guys, I'll link both of these in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description if you guys would like to try some wiggle warts or rock crawlers or wiggle warts. I got my Tackle Warehouse link. You can use that to get some there. But I do use both of them. I do, and actually I do use some old ones, and I do use some new wiggle warts. But I prefer the old ones by far. Now, one of the things that I have found out about a rock crawler is it works a little bit better in colder water. So when that water temperature is in the 40s, like in the mid to upper 40s, I like a rock crawler simply because it gets down a little bit deeper, and that's important when you're talking about cold water temperatures. You can slow it down. You can fish it parallel to those steep rocky banks. Both of these baits are rock lures, guys. These things both suck around wood. They are rock baits. So you want to fish steep rocky banks with them, Bluff banks, channel banks, riprap banks, that's where this stuff works really good. And most of the time on a rock crawler wiggle wart, you want to use some type of a slow medium stop and go retrieve, and you've got to be hitting something. You're not going to catch anything on this thing unless you're actually deflecting and bouncing off those rocks. Now, as the water temperature warms up a little bit, starts to get into the 50s, I like the wiggle wart better than the rock crawler. The wiggle wart, I've got a bunch of old ones that I've found over the years. I guard them with my life. If I get hung up with them, I've got plug knockers. I do not break them off unless I just absolutely have to. I had one tournament I fished 2 years ago. They were biting our rock crawler really good, and I lost about 3 or 4 of my really good ones that got hung up on these ropes. That, like, there was a bunch of rope under the water. I could not get them off. It made me sick. But the wiggle wart is going to be my bait when the water temperature's in the 50s up to 60 degrees. Now, one of the tips I'll give you on the wiggle wart, I fish a wiggle wart on a spinning rod. With a spinning rod on a wiggle wart, you can make a super long cast with it. You can get it down pretty close to the same depth as the rock crawler, fishing it on 6 to 8 pound test fluorocarbon line. So one of my little tricks in the springtime of the year, guys, is I'll put that wiggle wart on 8 pound test Seaguard and VizX. I'll make long parallel casts down those rocky banks, and I can really finesse that bait over the rocks, reeling it slow, because I reel it slow just like that, where it's just barely moving. And if I feel something, I can hesitate and let it sort of crawl over the rock. But I really like the way that a wiggle wart feels on a spinning outfit. The rock crawler, like the rock crawler 55, it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit heavier, beefier, and you can actually throw it pretty good on a bait caster rod with some type of a medium action bait caster. Ultimately though, like anything else, you need both. It's like some days I have seen them where they want the rock crawler, some days they want the wiggle wart. It's just like whatever the mood and the personality of the fish is. So as you can see right here, I've got quite a few both of them, guys. I got a lot of the rock crawlers, I got a lot of the wiggle warts, and if I'm cranking rock and I think that there's some type of a wiggle wart bite going, I always have 2 tied on. I'll usually have the rock crawler tied on, my bait caster rod with like 10 pound test fluorocarbon, and then I'll have the wiggle wart tied on my spinning rod with 8 pound test, and I just sort of rotate through them to find out which ones they work the best. I'll give you another little tip about wiggle wart and rock crawlers. Everybody fishes crawdad patterns. The brown craw, the green craw, some type of crawdad pattern, they're always fishing. Try some other color besides a crawdad pattern. I've caught tons of fish, guys, like on, I'll show you this one right here, like, something like this, some type of a brighter chartreuse. Shad patterns I've caught good fish on, perch patterns, just some oddball, chrome looking colors like that. They see so many crawdad pattern wiggle warts and rock crawlers that if you can get them going on some type of other color, a lot of times you can just whack them, because I think it's more about the action of the bait than it is the color. So that's just a few of my thoughts on it, guys. You need to definitely have some. They are incredible bass catchers. Both of them are. Again, you can get them through my Tackle Warehouse link in the description of the video. If you use that link, it's a really good way to support the fishing teacher, and much appreciated from me and my family. We'll talk to you guys later.